My life before prostate cancer was a very active life. I was a backpacker, I was a piker, a runner. I had been a runner for 30 years. I was also a teacher at the time that I was diagnosed. In August of 2006, I was 63 years old, still very healthy, and I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I had the surgery in August. Before I had the prostatectomy, my doctor had simply said that usually, he said, the best patient I've ever had, in 5 days he was normal again. For most patients, he said, within 3 months, everything is okay. And that's all he told me. So I was not anticipating that I would be having a problem with incontinence. From that moment of coming out of the surgery, my life was completely different.
Jerry tried many different treatment options. We went to several different urologists. One of them did recommend the biofeedback, and he went several times. One of them recommended the Kegel exercises, which he tried, and that was not successful. We Googled and tried everything that we could find to try, and just nothing worked. It was a total surprise to us that we had this outcome, because the doctor did not prepare us at all for this outcome.
Wearing the pads and the diaper greatly affected my life, primarily because I was a school teacher at the time, and I literally had to change pads every hour. I was drinking a lot of water because I was teaching middle school, and I had to go to the restroom after each class, change a pad, and then at the end of the next class I was doing the same thing. I couldn't go out anywhere because I never knew what was going to happen.
When Jerry was incontinent, it was a hardship on us socially because we were afraid to go anywhere. It was a hardship on us financially because we were spending over $3,000 a year on pads and diapers. It was a hardship on what activities we could participate in.
In addition to the physical impact, I think the emotional impact was probably the greatest change in my life. I suddenly did not want to be intimate with my wife. I felt unclean. I took 3 showers a day. I felt very self-conscious in public, thinking, oh, what if there's a smell? I also was somewhat depressed at thinking that my life is over. I am suddenly old. I felt no longer that I was a whole person.
Emotionally, our life came to a screeching halt. He felt unclean. He felt like I didn't want to touch him, that I didn't want to be near him, that I certainly wouldn't want to have intimate relations with him, because you never know when the urine was going to start pouring out.
There was a point in my life, a strange irony, a serendipitous event. I was diagnosed 2 years after the prostate cancer with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was in the hospital 125 days, and there I continued to have problems with incontinence, except for one night when the urethra blocked, and after 5 tries by the oncology nurses to insert a catheter, they called urology. And this young resident came over and took care of the stricture and gave me the 3 greatest words I had ever heard in my life, not words from my wife, saying, I love you, but we have urine. The next morning, her boss came by just to check on me, And he said, Jerry, you don't have to live this way. We can help you when you get over all of the chemo. He gave me his card. I put it in my desk when I got home. I didn't even think about this for another year because I had become so accustomed to living like this. By the next summer, I was feeling better. And it was just a coincidence that I happened to see the doctor's card, and all of a sudden a light bulb went on. Like, oh, I remember that conversation, because I had completely forgotten it. As soon as the light bulb went on, I went up and I said to Becky, I think we need to call him. She readily agreed, and we did make the call, set up an appointment, and that was the beginning of my life again. The next step in the process, I guess, was to see how much I was leaking. So I went through several tests for that, and that helped the doctor determine what kind of surgery. It was outpatient surgery. I went home the same day. It was the easiest surgery I've ever had. If I had to do this once a year and have the artificial urinary sphincter surgery, I would do that rather than go back to the life that I was living. 6 weeks after the surgery, I went back to the doctor. He activated the device. I went into the bathroom. I pumped the device a couple of times. I came out, they did an ultrasound, and my bladder had completely emptied, and the sphincter had closed back up. So I have been dry ever since that time. After that moment of going to the bathroom again, I felt like for the first time, it was like nothing I could describe. Joy, elation, excitement, that as if someone had given me a new start in life. And it was goodbye pads, goodbye diapers, goodbye plastic. You know, I'm back.
When Jerry came out of the restroom after drinking the coffee and discovering that he was dry and that he had been able to hold his urine and it didn't just pour through, and he was so excited. We were both just about jumping up and down, because when he had the original prostatectomy 4 years prior,
3 years.
Three years prior, the doctor didn't mention that there was ever any hope for us for anything different. So I could just see the next 20, 25, 30 years of this same kind of lifestyle. And for him to have this freedom, and for him to feel so good, like he said, like he was a normal human being and a normal person, and we could do normal activities and not have to be worried about, you know, is he gonna get up and there's gonna be a spot on the front of his pants? Or it was a wonderful feeling, and I would have sold my house, my car, whatever, to have this device implanted. It was the best thing that's ever happened to us.